Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight, as our guest, we have back with us drummer Jeramie Kling of Venom Inc., The Absence, and so much more. Welcome back to the show, Jeramie.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thank you for having me.
So, Jeramie, you got a ton going on as usual, but first I want to talk about this whole Venom Inc. gig. I mean, so you started as a new drummer in the band last year, so tell us a little bit about getting this position and what it's been like so far.
Well, kind of what happened with them was September, what are we in? What year are we in? 2019. So September 2017, I went out and did front of house for Venom Inc. We got along really great. Everything was really killer. Those guys are swell. And I love British comedy, man. I'm like a big fan of it. And Jeff and Tony had me in stitches the whole time. And we got on real well. And so fast forward to January, they were heading out with Suffocation as direct support and Nervosa as support as well in Europe. And Abaddon was not making the tour, and they were like, hey, it's between you and Tom Hunting to go out and play with us in Europe. And I was like, oh my God. No, I felt like that scene in Wayne's World where like, we're not worthy. I'm like, no fucking way, no way. And I was just floored. I was like basically like floored, like T-boned. Like imagine you crossing like a road and then you just get fucking T-boned by a vehicle and you're like, I didn't see that coming at all. So we did the tour. I had one rehearsal with them before I played hometown shows, which was like the most amount of pressure I think that anybody could suffer. And did famous, man. Did really well. Got along really well with those guys. We did that tour and it was great. And then they, you know, I guess I did something right because they wanted me to keep going with them. And then fast forward now to a year and a half later, we're working on the new record. Done so many different countries with those cats. We're actually December 8th, I'm heading to Australia. We're doing a one-off show. It's a warm-up for some stuff that we have coming up for next summer, which is pretty killer, but I can't talk about that yet, of course. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. And like current, like how it happened and what's happening with it, it's pretty amazing. I'm like eternally like pinching myself, and I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. You know, I'm honored and humbled to be where I'm at. It's pretty nuts.
So when Venom Inc. started out, of course it was, you know, 3 of the members from Venom, and then when you came in, did you suffer any kind of like backlash or fan, you know, how some people are like, what the hell, how dare they, any of that kind of crap?
I mean, some of that stuff goes on, but I mean, for the most part, if people watch us play, I don't play like a robot. I play really true to the records. I just play it. It's just a bit. It's a bit more put together, but I do play along to the record. Even like some of like the nuances and stuff that Abaddon had in there. I really try and keep that very true to that because I mean it was that, you know, and that's important to people. And people have listened to these records for 40 years,
right?
You know, so. While I am my own drummer, those people really want to hear those records, and I do my best to replicate that, and that is always on the forefront for me. I don't want to inject too much of myself in there. I mean, my playing is going to come through regardless if I try to or not. Mm-hmm. So if I can police that and keep that to, you know, what people really want to hear and what they expect to hear, and I'm a drummer too. All right. And I have favorite drummers, and I've watched replacement drummers. And if they do a killer job and they're in there and they're like paying attention to what the old guy had done, then I think that makes it or breaks it for me. So it's important. And as far as backlash, no, I don't get too much of it. You know, the fans are very supportive. I mean, some people are like, you know, Abaddon or nothing, or Kronos or nothing, and it's like, okay, cool, you know, hey, no problem.
Right.
Then go watch their version and enjoy that, you know. I mean, enjoy it. That's okay too. And it's the same thing. Like, I mean, I've toured with Sepultura for about 3 years, and I've watched people be upset because there's no Max or there's no Igor, and okay. And then I've watched people go watch Soulfly, and they're like upset because there's no Andreas or there's no, and it's like, okay, well, fuck's sake. I mean, there's no what's his name? The drummer for Peter Criss in Kiss. No Peter Criss, no Kiss. And it's like, all right, well, I mean, then go watch his version and support that, or don't, or I don't know, put in a DVD from '71, and then that could be your version of the band that you only want to honor. That's okay too.
Well, Jeramie, I think, like you said, you try to really stay true to what he played on the albums, and that's really what I think fans are kind of looking for. They want to hear, you're in the back anyways, they want to hear, what they're used to hearing. So I think that worked out really well, and you're obviously a really good fit for the band too, because it kind of just fell right in there, and it just kind of melded. And I think most of the fans that have gone to see Venom Inc., I have heard nothing but what an awesome show and what a great, so of course,
killer.
Before anybody heard anything, there's always going to be, talk. I'm like, what's going to happen or whatever.
Yeah,
but, oh, well, that was like freaking like 2 years ago, and everything's working out great now.
Yeah, it's going really well. It's going really well, and I'm like eternally honored to be in the position I'm in. I'm very thankful and fortunate, and just do my best. Here's something funny. Tony, Demolition Man, had said something to me, because in the bridges of one of the songs, it's like the measure, like the song goes around, the bridge goes around 7 times, and there's a false start on the 5, so it picks up before it's supposed to pick up. And I guess that was like a mess up in the studio. It wasn't supposed to do that, but Abaddon had played that, so I play it that way. and Tony goes, mate, I know what you're doing. He's like, but that was a mess up in the studio. We should just play it straight. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but people don't want to hear that though, man. Then that changes the song. And he goes, well, I respect that. And I'm like, okay, well, good, because I'm trying to keep it true, and keep it true to what it was, because it was what it was, and that's a period piece, it's a time piece, it's a stamp. And that's something that everyone has listened to. I mean, a lot of people, that's their religion, Their entire religion is based around the first 3 Venom records. Okay.
That's so funny.
I start adding in, a straightened out version. You straighten it out too much, and then you iron out all the wrinkles. And then if all the wrinkles are ironed out, then what do you have? Yeah, a starched version of what it was. And well, I don't want it to be that.
Jeramie, if you played it right, people are going to think you fucked up.
Yeah, right? Also,
You're like, you fucked up. That's not how it's played, So, yeah, I think you're probably doing the right thing. And I see where Tony's coming from, too. He's like, well, now we got this new, lineup. We'll just play it right. But you can't, because the wrong version is the right version. So...
It's a pretty crazy thought process, but those guys are great, man. Again, Tony and Jeff are the best. They are certainly the best. Jeff is one of the best rhythm players I have ever played with in my life, hands down. He is such a good guitar player. Tony, one of the best bass players I have ever played with, and one of the best, most consistent vocalists I've ever toured with. And that goes for crewing or not. I mean, he's just a powerhouse every time, and they're great to get along with too, man. It's really, again, like I said, I look around often, I'm like, can someone fucking pinch me, because this is over the top. I mean, this is this is it. So.
And they released their first full-length album 2 years ago. So have you guys been doing any writing or having any talks about writing at all?
Yeah, the new record is almost all the way completed by way of writing. Mm-hmm. Now, I need to go in there and do drumming and all that stuff for it, but as far as the structures and the songs, it's pretty well put together. That's why Tony's been dropping little hints about next year and stuff like that, which is so I feel confident in being able to drop a hint or two right here in this interview and say that it's going very well and it is underway.
So we're looking forward to that. And Jeramie, even with all the touring going on with Venom Inc., you managed to release new music with The Absence, new albums with Gorging and Rib Spreader. So tell us a little bit about Gorging now, a band where you step away from the kit to sing and play guitar.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's been fucking wonderful, you know, because we played shows and I'm like, I just have a microphone. How about that? Then I get to have that singer responsibility of like, did you bring your mic? No. Damn it. Kidding. I would never do that. I'm always prepared. I'm like a Boy Scout and I have my shit with me. Yeah, that band came about like sort of like it was just more of a studio project. You know, Taylor and I really love Swedish death metal. I mean, hell, The Absence is a Swedish death metal band. But we were more along the lines of like a Entombed or Grave or any of that stuff. HM2 sound, you know, that Sunlight sound that they had in Sweden in the early '90s. So we just did it, and then I had never intended on singing on it. And we just had some music done. I was like, wow, I could sing, and then I just did. And then we did our first full length, and Taylor. It was pretty cool how that project functions. Is Taylor will go and just play drums, and play all the drums for the whole song, and then we go back and we write the guitar parts to it. And I write half the songs on guitar, and he writes half the songs on guitar. And some of the stuff, I'll typically need him to collaborate with me on the stuff. I'll be like, I need like a Edge of Sanity circa Crimson 2 melody on this part. And he's like, cool, got it. And then he'll go in and throw this melody on, and I'm like, yes, you know, perfect. That's exactly what that part needed. Or I am like really big into like samples and stuff like in music, because I'm a product of the '90s. You know, I like Neurosis or KMFDM or Ministry or any of that stuff. So I'll just go ahead and I'll just sit and build up these sections and have all these samples on it that are pretty much buried, but they are there. You know, it's there, and it just creates this overall ambiance, which I'm pretty big on. Yeah, so we released that record, Neon Graves, through Transcending Obscurity in Europe, and that's kind of just been picking up steam and rolling just along with the rest of it, you know. Matt, I know you had mentioned The Absence, and we're actually about to break ground on the new Absence record. I'm going to start tracking the drums here in about a week and a half for the new album. We have that fully written. We just need to start the tracking for that. So it's kind of chaotic, man. It's like chaotic times. This year, I have toured 8 months out of the year so far, and
I know.
We just hit month 11.
Because I've been keep trying to get you. I'm like, well, he's always I can never get him on the show because he's always in another friggin' country somewhere. I don't even know what time it is over there.
Yeah, right. It's where he's somewhere on the other side of the world. Just dig down, and then we'll get to him.
So getting back a little bit to Gorging, when you play live, how does that work out? What are you doing? I mean, is Taylor playing drums? What's going on?
No, Taylor's actually playing guitar. He did we did a 7-day tour with The Absence, and Taylor played drums, but Taylor is going to play live guitar now. So he'll play guitar. We have a drummer, and we have a bass player, and then I just sing. So I only have to sing, and then maybe down the road we talked about maybe me playing bass or maybe me playing guitar. But I might just do just the singer thing and just run around like an idiot, like Mike Patton in like 1990, or or Barney Greenway, and just run around and fucking scream at people, which is also pretty fun. You know, it's cool just to have that.
Well, I was gonna say, what a stretch from sitting way back there to now you're out in front, so you have to kind of be a little bit animated. I mean, if you go see a band and they're just standing there, it's boring as hell, you know?
Hell yeah.
So.
Yep. Oh no, I'm not a sit still stan. I am not a sit still stan. I'm like up and running all over the place. I actually end up my mic cable is tied in knots by the end of the gig because I pace so much.
So let's talk a little bit now about Rib Spreader.
Yes. All right.
I mean, this year you guys released a new album. Is this like the second album with you on it?
We did a split with Death Crown.
Okay.
And yes, that is my second effort with Rib Spreader.
Okay.
We do have an entirely new album already written, recorded, ready to go. I think that will be released late next year. So that's going to come out in 2020. But that material is super tough. That record is super tough. The first record that Taylor and I were a part of, Suicide Gate, was really cool and a lot of fun to do. And this new one is for sure an extension of that, but just it's really fierce. It's really fierce. It's a bit like it's agitated. Let's just say that it's agitated. It's not like a sit back and coast kind of record. It's pretty extreme. Raga was like, let's juice this up a bit. Let's make this a bit more death metal, and that's all Taylor and I need to hear. We're like, fine, let's go.
And that's going to be next year, did you say?
Yes, that'll be a 2020 release for sure.
And Jeramie, with all this going on, do you ever do any more front of house or tour managing or any of that? I don't know when you would have time, but
tour managing, no. I think I'm fully retired from that. I hung up my boots. I hung up my boots with that. But front of house, as a matter of fact, I just did 35 days in a row, no days off tour with Warbringer and Enforcer, and they were doing a flip-flopping co-headlining tour. That tour actually went longer. It was 54 days straight, no days off, which I have to applaud those guys because they get an award for just road dogs. But I went out and I did over half of the tour with them doing front of house, and that was really great, you know. And I said this a couple times on this tour. I think the dream for any musician is to get out there and play music, right, and be supported by music. And I think that's the dream that everybody has. In the past year and a half, I have done nothing but that with Venom and with the Absence too, because we did a tour with Deicide this summer, which was great. And I played so much this year. I played so much in the past, like I said, the past year and a half of my life. And I got offered to go do this tour doing front of house. And I had a really great time doing that. And that also, paid bills. I mean, so I was supported from that as well. So, I mean, I don't know that the dream is purely just playing drums, because I fully enjoyed myself doing front of house. I really like that gig. I think it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's in its own way. You're in charge of this massive ship, and there's so many moving parts. And for my brain, that tickles so many different avenues. Like my organizational skills, my thinking on my feet skills, my ears, of course. So I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed myself a lot. So I don't know that the dream is just to play music, is what I'm saying. I think that I think it's to do whatever it is that you love. And I love music, and I love that I have many different avenues and facets of this, and so many different working parts. Like I just did a mix this summer for this band called the Crusaders out of Chicago. And they're a killer band. They're really up and coming. Actually, you should check their that record out. I believe it's called The Unholy Grail. And they are really talented, and I had the pleasure of mixing their record, and that was also fun, and I generated revenue from that. So I don't know that just playing is the dream for me in particular. I guess I can just speak for me, really, in the end. I'm just saying, like, maybe if I can offer any inspiration to anybody, is if you're happy doing whatever you're doing, stop and take a look at it, because it might not be just playing. You might find yourself doing monitors, and you might be pumped at that, or pumped for it, just, you have to really take time, and you have to respect yourself and understand where and what it is that makes you tick. Because for me, I thought it was just playing, and then I got to go out and play, and then I was like, oh, I actually like doing this other thing. Okay, cool. All right, good to know. It's good to know.
So let's talk a little bit about drums. So Jeramie, what is a typical practice routine for you?
Well, right now, well, on that tour that I was on, obviously I didn't have my drum set. The tour with Enforcer and Warbringer, so I brought my my sticks. And Vic Firth makes these really cool tips that go onto your regular drumsticks, and they are just like little rubber booties that go onto your drumsticks, and they make anything a practice pad. So it's incredibly convenient for us drummers, and you could just slap them on any sticks. You know, you don't even have to play Vic Firth. But I would just sit and spend about 30 to an hour a day just trying to keep my chops up. I knew that I had a lot of recording coming up, so I knew that I needed to keep my chops up. So I did about, you know, just like essentially like speed trials and long distance running training in my my practicing. And then the same thing, I also go to the gym regularly. I do lots of cardio. Mm-hmm. I have to do a lot. I have to do about at least 30 a day to anywhere up to like 60, mm-hmm. you know, or maybe better. Because I mean, I have these sets with Venom, and these are 90 minutes,
right, right.
or maybe even 100 minutes, you know, depending on what kind of how the crowd's reacting and how Tony's talking to them and whatnot. I mean, that's a long time to be in a fucking fight. I mean, mm-hmm. like swinging your fist like you're trying to kill somebody. That's a long time, and that takes a lot of cardio. So I try and keep that up the best I can. And since I've been home from that tour, like which was October 28th, I got home. And I immediately started rehearsing 2 to 3 hours a day. I have another project that I'm working on, so I just immediately started rehearsing for that. And I've been playing drums quite a bit, as a matter of fact. So 2 to 3 hours a day just on my drum set.
Well, cardio is really important too, like you said. It helps with your endurance, and not only that, but even though the sets that you're playing are long, climate is different in a lot of sets. I mean, some places you're playing, it's hot as hell, mm-hmm. and even though you could build your endurance up, maybe you're not, seasoned to, the climate change where you surely are in the gym when you're sweating your ass off up there.
Oh yeah. You know what's really cool is I've been really paying attention to my heart rate while mm-hmm. I'm on treadmill. So I've been really paying attention to where my heart sits and like what it feels like. So now I can pretty much spot like what my heart rate is. So
right.
if it's going, I can be like, oh, okay, I'm at 130. Or, mm-hmm. Or if it's like a particularly hard song, I'm like, I might be at like 155 or 160, and I'm growing accustomed to my body and where it sits. And my wife actually just got me a Fitbit for our anniversary, which has been pretty killer for me because I'm a stats guy. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I like stats. So that's just that. I'm a stat guy. And so now I've been rehearsing, and I'm really like aware of my heart rate. I check mm-hmm. it almost after every song that I do, and I like to. It's a good barometer for how difficult the song may or may not be for me.
Right.
And I'm like, and it's pretty cool. That's been a new revelation in my life.
Well, that is kind of cool when you mention that too, because like you were mentioning, when you're on the treadmill and you're tracking your heart rate, a lot of times, like a lot of treadmills, the sensors are in the bars that you hang on to or whatever. So even I have done where I don't let it track me because I try to think of where my heart rate is to try to learn my. Have you done that too? And then you go to track and you're like, okay, that's what I thought it was. I don't know if I was the only one that did weird shit like that.
No, my wife and I do that all the time. Like, I'll be like 119, and if I'm within 2, I'm like fucking celebrating on that thing.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
And she's the same way. She's like, I think I'm 114, and then she like nails it, and I'm like, there you are.
See, that's cool. Well, that's really good because you know that you are in tune with your body. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So as a drummer, what is like some of your biggest struggles, Jeramie?
I mean, I think the same as everybody. Just getting your non-dominant hand to be mm-hmm. the same as your dominant hand. I think that's like one of the biggest struggles. That and stamina, especially like trying to play some stuff for a long period of time. Stamina's it's a motherfucker, and it's a lifelong motherfucker. Yeah, and the body failing, which is another lifelong motherfucker right there. But we do the best we can. I mean, that's all we have, anyways. This is the one ship, this is the one ride, so it is what it is.
And are you still on D-Drum? What kind of kit are you using?
Currently, yeah, I'm still with D-Drum. My current kit I have is a Max kit, which is a hybrid, which is pretty killer. I have my custom kit will be built in December, and I think we're gonna take a Dios kit, which is maple, or there was talks that we might do the toms being a Max, which is a hybrid. I can't remember the other wood, and I hear Mike Petrak, my guy over at D-Drum. I hear him yelling at me in my head right now. But I can't remember the wood. It's the Max is a combo of maple and something else, like a birch or something like that. So we might do the toms in my custom kit, Max, and then maybe the kick drums do them in maple. But haven't made it that far yet. We're going to decide in December, which is cool. I'm going to do something pretty sweet. Looking forward to it. So right now I'm on a Max kit until then. Not just on a Max kit, but yeah.
I know. Do you use the same setup for Venom Inc. and the Absence, or do you switch it up?
No, the Absence I use one kick. The other kick's not really needed, and I mean the toms are in the same positioning, but I add a lot more cymbals for the Absence. So I mean I kind of changed my cymbal setup. I mean it all is kind of the same, realistically. I mean. It's where I feel comfortable at, and I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I add stuff, sometimes I take it away. I'm like your typical drummer. It's never really like the same.
Right.
It's kind of like an ever-growing thing, sort of like life, I suppose.
So what's the worst thing that ever happened to you while playing live?
Well, lots of worse things that's ever happened to me have happened to me. Usually at really big shows, like we just did Wacken. And which was incredible. It was incredible. What an experience! That's the fatherland or whatever they call it, the fatherland of heavy metal.
Right.
And we started playing, and when I play with Venom, I hit pretty damn hard, and the kick drum walks. So I knew that about this kick drum, and I was like, I thought that this one would be okay, because like some are okay and some are not, and I didn't. Anchor it, and I started playing, and the whole kick drum just walked totally forward. And the first song is just all double bass. I mean, it's like all double bass. It's one of the newer ones off the it's off the Ave. It's off of that record. It's just all double bass. It's Metal We Bleed is the name of the tune.
Yep.
And the whole kick drum walked forward like I don't know, half foot, maybe 3/4 of a foot. And my pedal actually, I was able to keep hitting it, and then it walked far enough away. I pushed it far enough away that my pedal actually flipped over. So I only had the top. I only had my hands, and I'm like, sick. I'm like, this is great. So I'm keeping the time, and I'm looking over, playing with just my right hand and my left hand, and I'm like, there's a house drum tech guy, and I'm like, hey fella, having a bit of a problem over here. And he came over and was like, oh, okay, and then he slid it back and put it back in place, and then I started playing again, and then walked forward and fell over again, and I'm like, oh my god. So we went back and forth with this thing. He tried putting, it ended up, after 2 or 3 songs, we got it roped in, and he had to tape the kick drum down, and then also he put 2 battery converters, like power converters, from Euro to US power converters in front of my kick drum, and then gaff taped those down. Oh, damn. To the drum set. It was funny as shit. Tony came back. He's like, he fucking breaks everything. So it was the worst, and then it was also funny because, I mean, it is what it is. It's par for the course. I mean, it's just it's just what it is. So I actually just released I put on my Facebook a clip of from Wacken. We did, I think Black Metal is the clip I chose. But if you look, you can see in front of my kick drum, you can see those two yellow power converters living their life right in front of my kick drum.
I was going to say, Jeremy, I was going to say with Vakken too, they like filmed it all live.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Big camera zooming in front of you and your kick drum is almost at the other end of the stage.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to pay more attention to that now.
Yeah, do it. It's funny. I mean, it's there.
That shit happens. What are you going to do, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, stuff like that. Stuff breaking. I mean, I knock over cymbal stands all the time or break a snare or break a... It is what it is. That was one of the worst, I've also had the backdrop cover me one time, which was kind of funny. That's some Spinal Tap shit, so.
Oh man. So what do you work on to help you to progress in your craft, Jeramie?
I mean, really, as cheesy as it's going to sound, I work on my relationship with my wife, and that helps everything else out in my world. I really just work on my relationship with my wife and my family, and that really transposes into everything else that I do. I do, like right now, we're building our garage out to half my wife's art studio, and the other half is a jam room where we will be rehearsing. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I built a stock room in there. I put up a false wall. I've carpeted. I have ran lights. I have cut a hole in the wall for an air conditioner. I've painted. I've done this, and all this is like the betterment of my life, which offers like a solace to me, which helps me be a better drummer. That helps me be a better father, a better husband, a better human on this earth. Yeah, I think it's kind of like the long and the short of it is really like my wife, like, I mean, I spin my ring often and I reflect about her, and because she's a really grounded human and has taught me quite a bit about life, love, and the pursuit of happiness and whatever that word means to the individual.
Well, you have that balance. You have the balance, and when you have balance, your life is less chaotic, mentally especially. So it doesn't sound corny at all. It's probably you have something what a lot of people don't have, and that's what's making them not 100% happy in their life. They just can't find that balance. But it sounds like you found the balance, Jeramie.
Yeah, it kind of just happened, and then when the signs are there, and if you ignore it, then that's your choice. Sometimes missed opportunities are there. Sometimes you just have to go, fuck it, let's go. Okay, all right, let's go. So, I mean, that's really helped my drumming. That's really helped me as a musician, mm-hmm. Period. I mean, musician, front of house engineer, mix engineer, any of that stuff, a happy home, I think, is the basis for all of that. I mean, that might be the same for people who are single, if they're happy in themselves, then I think they can find that same sort of solace. I really enjoy doing and making my world around me, designing it how I'd like to live. Like whether that means my kitchen is a full-on photo studio, or my who knows, whatever. My backyard turns into a wrestling match, like I built a wrestling cage. Not that I've ever done this. I'm just saying, if I wanted to, then, I do that. And then, that ultimately helps me to go, oh man, yeah, wouldn't that be cool to have that? Like, yeah. All right, I want that around. So then I just have it around.
Like I said, you found that balance, and it's what makes you happy. And Jeramie, what do you have going on for the remainder of the year? I mean, are you got any more playing out to do?
I'm doing Australia. I think I mentioned that earlier.
You did.
Australia with Venom on the, I believe that's the 8th. Mm-hmm. That's the last gig for the year. Well, I mean, so far, but I mean, I think that's the last gig for the year. I have a couple records to record right now on drums. Mm-hmm. And I have to finish one on vocals for Gorging as well. We are finishing up our second record, which is all the way written. I just need to finish doing some vocals for it. And then mix that, of course. So essentially, I just have studio stuff the next couple months.
And I'm assuming with all these bands, especially with Venom Inc, you'll probably be hitting the festival circuit pretty hard next year. Venom Inc is always all over those festivals and everything. And of course, we can't really talk about too much. Hopefully, there'll be some kind of thing going on in the USA, but we won't know until it's official anywhere.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so there you have it. You can check out Jeramie on drums in Venom Inc., The Absence, and his other bands. And as always, Jeramie, thank you for coming on the show to catch us up on what you have going on, and all the best to you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.